Welcome back to a slice of news where I cut you off a slice of news. Tomorrow is election day in Virginia where they're set to elect a new governor. The race between Democrat Abigail Spanberger and Republican Winsome Earle-Sears is seen not just as an election for a governor, but as a referendum on the current administration. Both candidates are undoubtedly qualified for the position. Earle-Sears is the Republican lieutenant governor, and Spanberger is a former Democratic member of Congress and CIA operations officer. So I think it's clear that in the minds of Virginia voters tomorrow, it won't be will she be able to do the job, but it will come down to what each candidate's positions are on the issues that affect the average Virginia resident and how they align with those that the administration pushes. I think unsurprisingly, one of the big issues in this election is going to be the economy and housing costs. While the nation as a whole has been hit, Virginians in particular have felt the sting of the recent government shutdown and mass federal layoffs because Virginia is a state in which many federal workers reside. In Virginia's northern suburbs, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who doesn't know someone who's been affected either by the federal layoffs or the government shutdown. Spanberger has capitalized on this anger by leaning in hard on addressing all these layoffs and the still rising food costs. Her opponent, Earle-Sears, has pushed the current governor's strong job creation record and the state's assistance for unemployed federal workers. It seems when it comes to the economy, Virginia voters have the choice between someone who is pushing for change and something different from what is happening currently, and a candidate who wants to just continue the way things are going and just trust the governor and state leadership to just do the right thing on their own. It may be Spanberger's focus on the economy and willingness to push on that important issue that many Virginia voters likely resonate with, and a dissatisfaction with Republican rule both on the state and federal levels that could catapult her into a win tomorrow. While Spanberger has been issue-focused, Earle-Sears has tried to veer into the culture war section and rally against transgender rights, a topic that may resonate more with rural Virginian voters, but on the whole is probably not going to be something that is going to help her make a win. Like in any election for public office, you really have to come to a balance when you're a candidate between focusing on issues and focusing on culture. Since electing an official, be it a governor, a mayor, or a president, they are understandably going to be tasked with dealing with both, but especially right now in a time of ongoing government shutdown, layoffs, food insecurity, I think focusing on issues versus culture in this particular gubernatorial election is the right way to go. Voters want to feel heard. They want to feel confident they're going to be helped when they're in need. And when the Republican candidate is saying, trust Governor Youngkin, trust the president, just keep things going as usual under Republican leadership. In a time where it's very clear that Republican leadership, both on the state and federal level, have failed them, it's not going to be too hard for the Democratic candidate to say, hey, these guys aren't helping you to an adequate degree. I'll come in and I will help with new, better Democratic policies, and then ride that wave of dissatisfaction with Republican leadership and policies into the governor's mansion. But naturally, it's not quite that simple, and there may be some pushback even from within her own party, since as a moderate, many Democratic-leaning Virginia voters see her as too moderate and not progressive enough. It's actually a long-standing issue that many Democratic candidates have had, that in the eyes of some voters, they need the Democratic candidate to be perfect in all ways. If they aren't that perfect candidate, they just stay home on election day. It's an effect we saw on the grand stage in this 2024 election, where Kamala Harris lost the election, due in part to a lot of voters seeing her as an imperfect candidate and therefore not one that they deemed worthy of voting for. I have no doubt that the dissatisfaction with the current administration and the way Republicans are running the government will play a huge part in tomorrow's election. A win for Spanberger will absolutely be a rebuking of Donald Trump's policies and the Republican rule of government. But conversely, a win for Earle-Sears and a loss for Spanberger would be a serious blow to Democratic leadership and signal trouble for any chances they have of making inroads in the upcoming midterm elections of 2026. While Virginia has often been seen as a red state, and sometimes a very solidly red one, it has been trending blue as of late, and a loss for Spanberger would probably put an end to that trend. In a lot of ways, this is Spanberger's election to lose. Many see her opponent, Earle-Sears, as a, quote, loon, and really out there, so defeating her shouldn't be that difficult. I think her chances of winning are bolstered highly on just how angry and dissatisfied people are with Donald Trump and the administration, how poorly they've been handling everything lately. So a Republican business as usual candidate really shouldn't have much of a chance. But I also feel the nation as a whole has been in this type of position before, and they chose wrongly those times. So her win is certainly not a done deal just yet. But at the same time, I recognize I'm not a Virginia voter. It's very easy for someone on the outside to say, well, it's so obvious how they should vote because I see it this way and that way. But when it comes to state leaders, the people who are going to lead your particular place of residence, the only ones who can really get the strongest read and who's really the ones that both candidates have to really push on and impress are those Virginians. But I also think that because of how polarized the nation is right now, many are watching this Virginia election as a sort of test case for the future, both for how things might go in the upcoming midterm election and also an idea of where the people are for the next national election. And it's tough. A lot of the discord I see out there about Spanberger has been a lot of the same talking points that I saw against Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election. Oh, she's too conservative. She's not progressive enough. We need a more progressive liberal candidate. And we all know where that kind of talk led. So there's no doubt she's got an uphill battle within the Democratic electorate. But at the same time, I also recognize that a lot of that talk is most likely coming from those who are not Virginia voters and whose opinions do matter. But as they are not the ones casting the votes tomorrow, they may not be as damning as they seem on their face. It's also true that negative voices are often the loudest, so just because there's a lot of criticism for her online, and even from actual Virginia voters, that doesn't necessarily mean that when it comes to election day, she's not going to still win, because a lot of those who are in favor of her winning are not going online crowing about it, and are just going to go in, cast their vote for her, and just let the results speak for themselves. I think we can all agree that right now, in the current political climate, Democrats need a win, a solid win that they can point to and say, look, things are going to get better. This is a sign of things to come. And this Virginia gubernatorial election is poised to be that, a point of light in what has often felt to be an infinite darkness. Republicans have run this country into the ground, both on a federal and a state level, and it is a difficult thing to claw our way back out of, especially when Democratic voters often require a level of perfection from their candidate that is unattainable. And Republicans have used that time and time again to win in elections, because while Democratic voters are often split between the progressive and centrist wings, Republicans are just fine as long as it's not a Democrat, they vote for them. There's the saying, perfection is the enemy of good, and that is no more true when it comes to Democratic politics. Many progressive, often younger voters just will stay home if their candidate is not absolutely exactly what they want in all ways possible. And the fear is that's exactly what we will see repeated once again tomorrow. And once again, a Republican will snatch what seemed like an easy victory from a Democratic candidate. But while I'm not a Virginian and I don't have the insight of being a local and a resident who knows the sort of inside scoop on the real feeling amongst those who are actually going to go out voting, I think the fact that Spanberger chose to campaign on the issues that really mattered to people, to really tap into that dissatisfaction and pain people are feeling due to Republican governments, was a real winning strategy. I think it's really going to make the difference amongst older voters who are the ones who are hurting the most in Virginia right now. I think no election, especially these days, is a done deal until it's a done deal. Everyone's cast their vote, the votes have been counted. and the winner's been certified, I think Democratic candidate Spanberger is definitely going to come out on top. People are just tired of Republicans, which I can definitely understand, and they want something new and hopefully better. And Democrats, while they have many of their own faults, are at least going to be able to give that. They're going to at least be able to present something that is not the Republican way. And while I think maybe it is slightly wishful thinking, I do want to believe that this is the sign of good things to come, and a sign that in these upcoming midterms, Democrats are really going to take as much as they can, and we're going to really see a blue wave to begin to undo a lot of the damage Republican leadership has done to the country. I have hope that we are all going to wake up on November 5th to good news and good results, where Spanberger was elected governor of Virginia and the Republican candidates were defeated wherever possible, because Virginia deserves better Democratic leadership, and the nation does as well. And that win could absolutely be one of the first steps towards that. But right now, all we can do is wait and see. Alright guys, that'll be it for this episode of A Slice of News. I've been your host, Mr. Slice, and until next time, when I cut you off another slice of news.